All right, welcome to the Edge Live Q&A podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to answer your questions. So if you have questions, please send them to us. If we don't get questions, we'll just talk about the news and whatever else we feel like. So I'm William Swanson. I'm the chief architect. I think that's my official title here at Edge. And I'm basically a plumber. I do all the low-level stuff that nobody gets to see. Other people make the app look pretty. And this is Cachet. You're the assistant to our CEO, personal assistant.
Am. New to the company, very excited. New to crypto in general, also very excited.
So you're new to crypto.
I am.
So this will be a kind of we've got more beginner questions here maybe today. It's good to get a different perspective because I'm so up in the abstract of what is cryptocurrency that it's nice to be reminded what bring
You're
it down.
You're still speaking another language to me. I'm still learning.
All right. So what do you want to talk about first then?
I think an interesting thing that for me was getting into the cryptocurrency world. It was through Paul. And the easiest way that he said that he could kind of show me how easy it is to use and the financial aspect of how you can use it in situations outside of just trading back and forth or exchanges is he had me download Edge. And he showed me how easy it was to receive some Bitcoin. And how easy it was to send, because I think the following step was if you want to send some, just scan the QR code. But then once I got into that, once you're in the space, that's when all your curiosity starts to happen. Because okay, what's this? And I see all these tokens or coins and currencies. So one of my questions I still kind of have that I'm still figuring out is the difference between coins and tokens. And the terms and I guess the positives and or benefits of having coin over token or vice versa.
Well, that's actually a really interesting question. You get so used to talking in these terms, you don't even think that it might be confusing. I think, and part of it is nobody's even consistent in when they use these terminologies. So I think kind of at a high level, a token is just something that has a value. It could be Chuck E. Cheese tokens. It could be Starbucks gift cards. It could be whatever. And so a cryptocurrency, in some sense, is also a token, and people are inconsistent about what they really mean when they say that. So that's part of the problem. Fundamentally, there's different cryptocurrency networks, I guess you could say. Kind of like there's Visa and there's Mastercard. They're different card numbers, different networks, different systems. But within a Visa card, I can swipe it in Canada and I'm paying Canadian dollars, and I can swipe in the US, I'm paying US dollars. So Visa is the network. But then there's different currencies within the Visa system.
Okay.
So what happened was Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. The currency and the network are the one and the same. There's just Bitcoin and it's one thing. But there's another currency called Ethereum, which has the ability to put other coins on its own network. So the Ethereum network not only contains the coin Ethereum, which has a certain price, but also all these other coins that also have prices. So if you want to store them, you actually get an Ethereum wallet, and then those coins go into that wallet.
Is there a positive or benefit of why I would want to have tokens, or why even have both? Why not just have, Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum and whatnot, and just having the one
network per coin? And that's a kind of a trade-off in the sense that if you build your own network, that's a lot of work to build a network. There's a lot of decisions, a lot of technological stuff needs to go into doing that. And your network needs to be huge enough to have, that sustaining power that keeps it alive. So it's relatively difficult to start one. So what a lot of people will do is they'll actually start a token on somebody else's network because it's easier to get going. You don't have to think about it. You just kind of...
You're saying from a more of a developer standpoint, correct? Not a user, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not going to be creating a token.
As a user, it's more complicated for you because now you have to know, okay, in order to hold Augur's rep token, I first need to get an Ethereum wallet and put the rep into there, and I also need to have an Ethereum. It's more of a user experience hurdle for you as a user to use a token than compared to its own network, because the network just makes it all seamless.
Because that's what I've been wondering is, I have Bitcoin, I have Bitcoin Cash. Those are the two that I've just known. I've only been in for a short time, and looking into hearing this word token and trying to figure out what it is, and is that something that I should be, having? Should I have tokens?
And really what it all comes down to, what are your goals with cryptocurrency? And I think
I'm personally still trying to figure that out because it is so new.
Well, I think your personal goal is keep up with the CEO so I can understand what he's saying.
Basically, all day, every day, learning.
But different people have different objectives. one person might say, my goal is to buy a coin that I think is going to increase in value. So I'm going to buy this thing I heard about on Twitter yesterday because I think it's going to double. And when it doubles, I'm going to sell it and I'm going to have twice as much money. And they're thinking in a dollar denominated world. Like if I buy it for $2 and I sell it for $4, I've doubled my dollars. So that's cool. That's definitely something that can happen in the crypto space, and lots of people make lots of money. Lots of people also lose lots of money, right? You buy Bitcoin at 20,000 in the last spike, 2017, and now it's at 8,000. You're like, I lost half my money. So that's a dangerous game, but people play it, and that's fun. The other thing you might use a token for is, I actually think that whatever they're building with this token is valuable. So Augur is a prediction market. They're one of our partners, and they allow you to make predictions about the future and then ask other people what they think. And it's basically kind of like gambling, but it's more of for an intent of getting information. And so you ask a question, you put some money on different answers, and then people will bet up the answer, and the answer that has the most money on it seems like it's probably what people believe will happen.
Okay.
So if you think, I want to know what's going to happen, I'm going to use this to make predictions, then you buy Augur's token, not because you think it's going to go up in value, but because it allows you to use their service.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Bits and pieces. As you're talking, I'm trying to piece it together. I've also was wondering what people that are high level in the crypto world, when there's a comparison between that and the stock market, to try to explain to people how the value changes and how people who have stocks or watch the stock market, how they get used to those numbers that to most people go 3.4. I know it's red and I know it's green. So there's that comparison that I've heard a few times, just not from crypto world people, but I'm just saying in general. And do you think that's a genuine comparison?
I think there's actually a very good analogy between cryptocurrencies and the stock market, because when you buy a stock in a company, like say I'm buying Tesla stock, that's a bet that Tesla's going to do well and sell lots of cars. So on one level, I'm investing in the technology of Tesla. So if I'm buying Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin, I'm saying, I think that Bitcoin's going to do well, and in the future, people will use it more, and it's going to be valuable. So I'm kind of investing in the technology and the bit of it. And if I make my guess right, the value could go up. But if I make my guess wrong, the value could go down. But I think the difference between the stock market and crypto is that crypto is way, way, way wilder. You see 10x, 100x changes in price. So I can buy something for $1 and in 2 years sell it for $100. That's unheard of in the stock market. If I'm doing well in the stock market, I buy Apple stock at $2 a share and I sell it at $20 a share, and that's like unheard of, like incredible gains. But in crypto, that's like that happens every day.
Yeah, it's more extremities, right?
It's a wilder ride. They call that volatility. There's just so much volatility. It changes so much so fast you can't even keep track of it. But that's good or bad, depends how you see it.
Is that also how you would describe or how to explain to somebody where to put their investments per se in the currencies? The comparability between the different currencies, and should I get Bitcoin? Should I get this? Is it kind of like the stock market in that sense too, which you can choose where you want to invest your money?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the research process should be very similar. One thing I see a lot in crypto is because it is so volatile, you'll get sort of excitement building around something. So something doubles, like Bitcoin goes from 4,000 to 8,000, which just happened recently. And people get excited like, oh, it doubled. I'm going to buy it now. And so you're buying at 8. That's pushing the price up because more people are buying. And then it starts doubling again. It goes to 16, and people are getting even more excited because it just did. And then people buy even more, and it goes to 100,000 or some crazy price. But it was all hype. It was all excitement. It wasn't like genuine, like more value is being generated by this thing. It's just pure hype. And so that hype falls away just as fast as it comes.
Is that partially also because we're talking currencies, we're not talking products? Which in general, I feel like when somebody buys a product, Apple, right? If the Apple stock market goes way up, a lot of people have these products, and there's going to be buying other applications to go onto these products.
Yeah.
And there's something that's a little bit more,
it's a little bit more grounded, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You can they're making this much profit per quarter, and the stock price is like 10 times that. That doesn't seem like a good investment because there's this fundamental like profitability that the company has to have. Whereas crypto, there is no profitability, so things are more detached and they can flutter a lot worse.
Okay.
So anytime the price of Bitcoin goes super high, it's going to fall super low. Yeah, it's just inevitable. But what you're kind of doing is trying to ride that long-term trend, not the short-term, like Short term meaning 2 or 3 years, long term meaning like 5 or 10 years.
Well, and I hear throughout the office here and there, and I've been meaning to kind of ask this, is that every now and then somebody will say like, oh, did you want to buy my Bitcoin or did you want to buy this currency? And you guys kind of go back and forth. And I was wondering, why are you selling back and forth to each other? Like, did the market change in the way that I don't want it now, but you do? Or
Usually it's a practical problem.
okay,
So at Edge, all our employees get paid in crypto. So I every month receive some amount of Bitcoin, and I have to do something with that Bitcoin. So what am I going to do with it? Well, I can send some of it to various merchants that accept it and buy things with the crypto. Overstock takes it. I use Purse to get things off of Amazon, so I can do a lot of shopping. But the landlord doesn't take Bitcoin. So I have to sell some amount of Bitcoin every month to pay my landlord.
into cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I can go to someone in the office and say, hey, do you need Bitcoin right now? I can sell some to you. Or I can go to an exchange and pay the exchange fees. So it works both ways.
Yeah. It's really interesting. It's a really kind of cool process to see. You're like, let me sell you something that I need money and you want some Bitcoin. So
Yeah, and I've had other
make a deal.
I had one of our employees came to me one day and he's like, I need to go downstairs to buy a bag of chips because I'm hungry, but I don't have any cash on me. Can you sell me a $20 bill? And he paid me crypto for a $20 bill so we could walk downstairs and get a bag of chips. Like just practical, like I'm the ATM, you know?
That's amazing.
And yeah. So it's money. You can trade it back and forth. It's just kind of annoying to have to trade dollars for Bitcoin. It'd be nice if the whole world used
Just accepted Bitcoin. Well, thank you. I appreciate all my beginner questions.
All right. So you want to talk about news. And if you have any questions, one of our tech guy, Kylan, he's monitoring the Twitters and the YouTubes, and he will send them over to me via Slack so I can get them and answer them. So in the meantime, we'll talk about some news questions. So you had a question about Facebook coin before we started the podcast.
I did. I saw that there was the global coin that Facebook, or it was an article. I didn't read this directly from Facebook. And I was kind of had a question that because that has such a large user base, and because it's something that's people quote unquote trust, right, with a lot of their private information. We're talking all privie information. They have a lot of information on you.
They know everything about everybody.
That if they were to launch some global coin, and do you think that it would impact the exchange or wallet market? Because if it was accessible and or scannable through their app, that people wouldn't maybe need to have other coin because they know Facebook and they trust Facebook.
I think Facebook coin is definitely an interesting thing that's coming down the pipeline. No one really knows all the details. I should say that. We've heard speculation. We've heard little hints and pieces of news from different people. But we do know a few things. So far, we know that it's actually going to be a stable coin. So what that means is normal current cryptocurrencies, there's a certain number of them, and people buy and sell them. And if people buy it a lot, the price goes up. If people sell it a lot, the price goes down. But somehow Facebook intends to tie the price of their coin to the price of dollars, to the price of yen or euros or whatever it is they're going to do. So that means the price of global coin will fluctuate a little bit, but it won't be the wild swings you get with Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. So if your goal is to buy global coin, hoping it's going to 10x or 100x or whatever crazy thing that happens, it's not going to happen. It's going to be tied pretty stably to whatever your national currency is.
Actually, this morning, Paul Pouet, our CEO and co-founder, he was mentioned in a website and a Twitter, Modern Consensus, speaking directly about stablecoins and in the Binance world. So something to maybe look up if people are curious about what Paul is saying about stablecoin.
You have your finger on the pulse of what he's doing a little bit more than the rest of us.
Yeah, he was published this morning. So if you go to Modern Consensus, the homepage article, Paul's referred to with a couple quotes on stablecoin if anybody's trying to find some more information on that.
So it won't be quite as exciting as Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. It'll be a little bit more serene. It'll be more like buying Xbox credits or what's another, like any kind of in-game credits where it's like kind of tied to the dollar versus like.
Well, I heard that people that do the Amazon, they only get paid in Amazon.
Oh yeah, people get paid in Amazon dollars. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be more like that. It'll be like Facebook dollars, but it's not exactly dollars. It's Facebook global coin, but it's very similar to a dollar in its price, and it won't like go 10x. It'll go maybe once or twice, depending on like the euro's doing well or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. It also sounds like they're going to be charging people for the right of running the network as nodes, which means it's not going to be decentralized. Now, this part, we're not quite sure what that means, but it doesn't sound like it's actually a true cryptocurrency. It sounds like Facebook is within its own system and maybe a couple trusted partners setting up like an internal monetary system, more like a Visa or a Mastercard, where it's not like you can trade Visa dollars freely. It's kind of like an internal closed system that they control.
It feels like Facebook's just trying to get their fingers into something that they don't have control over yet.
Yeah.
And they already have all of your information. And so then if you're linking in a new currency form, and that's now linked in with all of your photos and everything that you do.
It'll be more like a PayPal and
Yeah.
less like a Bitcoin. Because one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin is it is truly decentralized. No one controls it. Whereas this seems like very much Facebook controls it, which means if I have Bitcoin and nobody wants me to have Bitcoin, there's nothing they can do about it. It's kind of me and my own sovereignty as an individual. Whereas if I have Facebook coin and they're like, no, we don't like you, you're saying hate speech or whatever, we don't approve, you violate our terms of service, oh, we took your money, it's all theirs, they control it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not quite what I would trust in a cryptocurrency. So I think it may be somewhat valuable in the sense of getting people used to the idea of a crypto, like a digital-only coin that's not their local national currency, but I don't think it really takes them 100% of the way there. So maybe a stepping stone, but it's not the final end goal, for sure.
Okay.
So we have a question from Cal Turo on YouTube. Will Edge ever support Dogecoin? So are you familiar with Dogecoin?
Slightly via, Paul's conversations.
So Dogecoin is the funniest cryptocurrency. It started off as a stupid joke, and it went viral, and people took it seriously, and it's actually got value, and it's been around for years. It's like one of the OG like altcoins, like one of the oldest coins that's not Bitcoin, but still like, a crypto on its own. And yes, the answer is yes. I'm not going to say when, but I have seen it in the app and I have used it and it works. So when is the release schedule going to include it? Soon.
TBA.
Soon. Yes. There's always little things like you get the coin working, right? You can buy, you can send and receive, but then like the exchange rate doesn't work. So you need to find an exchange rate partner that has the right coin, in their service. And we need to make sure that our swap partners have it. So there's a little bit more that goes into releasing a coin than just making sure the wallet functionality works. So I think that's stuff that we have to work through. That's what I can say.
I can't speak too much.
I'm looking forward to it personally. I've held some Dogecoin for like 5 years in like just a private key somewhere, and I'm looking forward to actually putting it in a wallet where I can really send and receive it and use it. Brother Shield on YouTube asks, are there any plans for an Edge Visa card or MasterCard? So that's interesting. So one of the things that people do is they will set up a Visa card. Visa is obviously dollars or euros or whatever country you're in. But you can put Bitcoin into the card, and they will convert it at that point to those currencies when you spend it. A couple services, BitPay has one, I think. I'm not sure who else has one right now. They keep coming and going because the government doesn't like it necessarily, so they like regulate it, and then they shut it down, and another service figures out a way to do it legally, and they run it, and then they get shut down, or their banking relationship. It's never seemed like something super stable. The other thing is, Edge has a very strong policy of never, ever, ever knowing information about our customers. When you sign up for an Edge wallet, how much personal information did we ask you for?
Nothing. It's for me to create a password.
Yeah, we asked you for a password and a
Yeah.
username. We
Yep.
didn't even ask you for an email. The
Nope.
username could be anything you want. So we literally know nothing about you other than whatever you typed in for the... Actually, we don't even know the username. Edge does not know the username. We hash it before it leaves the phone. So at the end of the day, we don't want to run a Visa card. Because if we ran a Visa card, we would have to know KYC on our customers. And we are not wanting to do that. We want you to have full privacy, full control. But we can partner with a Visa company, perhaps another company that offers this card, and maybe have an integration where it's easy to load and check your balance within our wallet. But we would never ourselves do that. So BitPay, if you're out there and you want to reach out to us, maybe talk to us and we can integrate your debit card functionality into our app.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're not going to do it ourselves. No. We don't want to know anything about our customers. That's your private information, not for us to know. No more questions. So let's go back to the news lists. So who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
That's the question, right? Who is? That is the ultimate question.
So you probably don't have much insight into who he is from your brief time in this space.
No, I mean, I did a little bit of research. There's a picture of somebody on the Wikipedia, who, of course, my initial, when I don't know anything, I'm like, oh, that's what he looks like. That's so interesting. He says he's still alive. But no, I'm learning that there's a lot of theories.
Yeah. So what we know is the Bitcoin was created by someone who called himself Satoshi, but we don't know who on earth that is. There is an actual human who has a face who's named Satoshi, but that doesn't seem like the right guy because he doesn't really know cryptography. So there's different theories. Who could it be? One person who claims to be Satoshi, and I think he's really the only one at this point who really making a serious claim, is a guy called Craig Wright. But he seems kind of like a sociopath. Like a lot of the stuff he says doesn't quite add up. I mean, there's a court case he's in right now where he's submitted things to the court and then had to have retract them because they were proved to be fraudulent. Like, you're not quite sure if he's telling the truth ever. So, I mean, I don't want to judge the guy, but that's my impression. So who is Satoshi? Is it him? Maybe, but he's never proved it. So one theory that came up recently, and I thought this was interesting, Paul Leroux. So he's a guy who is a very brilliant computer programmer, and he invented something called TrueCrypt, which is a software you could download that encrypts your computer so no one could read what's on it. But then he kind of went Breaking Bad, like real life Breaking Bad. He actually started an online pharmacy and started selling drugs. And like he was eventually caught by the U.S. government. He like ordered murders to happen. Like he was super like in deep.
He was the Heisenberg.
He was. And so, yeah, is he the guy? I mean, he knew cryptography. He had a good reason and a need to have.
What's the latest news on him?
So he is now in prison.
He is, okay.
And he went to prison shortly after Satoshi disappeared. So there's a lot of coincidences in his life that seem to indicate that he might have, things line up, right? But one theory I heard is Craig Wright was actually one of Paul Leroux's employees, possibly. So if Craig Wright was Paul Leroux's employee, he might have had access to Paul Leroux's hard drives, which would have encrypted Bitcoin locked with TrueCrypt. So if Craig Wright's setting up this claim to be Satoshi, perhaps it's because he knows that one day he's going to guess that password, decrypt those hard drives, and get the Bitcoin off. And when he does, he will have access to Satoshi's original coins from way back in the day, and he can then prove that he is Satoshi, even though he wasn't really. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting twist, an interesting theory onto what may be going on. Maybe Craig Wright is not Satoshi, but maybe he's going to become Satoshi once he gets access to the stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's kind of...
That's an exciting theory. I like that one.
It's got a lot of intrigue and a lot of quick twisty turns. That would make a great book. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's going on, but I love Satoshi theories. I think they're a lot of fun. Well, how are we doing on time? We're almost a half an hour in, so probably have time for one more question or one more news story. I don't see any more questions here at this time, so do you see any of these stories look interesting to you?
Well, let me take a look. The Komodo hacks?
The Komodo hacks. Okay. That one's interesting to me, too.
I picked a good one.
Yeah. So Edge is obviously in the business of producing software that people can download and use. Komodo is apparently another wallet. I don't know much about them, but they released software that people could use to store Bitcoin, and somebody managed to insert a backdoor into their software. So a backdoor is when the software contains code that some remote entity can use to cause the software to do what they want it to do. And if that backdoor didn't trigger, that remote entity, whoever it was who snuck it in, could have stolen $13 million worth of Bitcoin. So fortunately, the wallet company was able to find the backdoor and take it out of their new software, first of all, and then they themselves triggered the backdoor to steal their own customers' money and put it in a safe place so their customers could claim it back, which is just, that's insane. I don't even know how I feel about that.
Is that a common threat, you think, in wallets in general or exchanges?
I think it's a new threat. We haven't seen this kind of threat as often. So what typically happens in Bitcoin when people lose a lot of money is exchanges will get hacked. So exchanges know who the customers are, and they are storing the customer's money in their own system, kind of like a bank would. When I have dollars, I go walk down to my bank, deposit the dollars, and they're holding the dollars. It's not my money at that time, right? It's not mine to spend. It's their bank's, and I can ask them nicely to give it back. Big exchanges work like that. They take the customer's money, they put it all in one big pot, and they manage it for them. And of course, a big pot with $40 million of crypto is very attractive, and so those pots get raided all the time by all kinds of hacks. Wallets have a systemic risk in that if there's a bug that gets into the wallet, then that can affect many people at once. But even in that case, the attacker has to go customer by customer by customer. They're not going to be like raiding everyone in kind of the same way as you would with an exchange. So it's a less risk, but it is a risk. And we saw one hack. It was a wallet, an Ethereum wallet, where there was actually a bug in it, and all the customers' money got locked. They lost like $20 million. It was locked. It was not even stolen. It was just not step bendable. So that's not great. And then we see this one here, and then I think Copay also had a similar hack where somebody bought a backdoor into it. So we at Edge are definitely paying attention to this. We've set policies in place to make it harder to get backdoors in. We definitely audit the software that goes into our stuff. And we have more plans about ways to sort of isolate parts of the app from each other. So even if a backdoor gets in the front end, it won't affect the back end and stuff. But we're definitely thinking about these problems and trying to figure out the best way to solve them.
Before they happen.
Before they happen, proactively. Yes. So it's definitely an interesting problem.
Okay.
Yeah. I think people would argue that hardware wallets are perhaps a solution to that, but hardware wallets have the same thing. You need to use software to access them, and that software can get backdoors just the same. I don't really know what the good solution is.
Figuring that out. We're figuring it out.
We as an industry are figuring that out, right? There's definitely pros and cons to everything, and what the right balance is hard to figure out. We have one more question before we say goodbye. Are there any, wait a second here, Kylan, there it is. Speaking of DTube, will Edge also support Steemit coin? We've looked into Steemit, and it's not a Bitcoin clone. So a lot of coins are basically Bitcoin, but just with simple changes, and it's easy for us to accommodate those very simple changes and put them in. Dogecoin is very similar to Bitcoin in the way it works. Everything is like 90% a copy, and so we just have to take that 1% that's different and adjust to that. Steemit's a whole nother ballgame. So it's going to be a little bit more work to put it in. We've definitely looked at it, but I don't think we have any definite plans about actually doing that work. What's the most valuable coin we could put in, next? And that's always a big question. So if we're going to do a lot of resource, a lot of engineering, it'll probably won't be more one of the top 10 coins and not Steemit, which is a little bit lower down. Sorry about that. All right. So any other questions? That's good.
I think that's good for my first time here.
You did great.
At the podcast.
You did great. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So we are Edge Wallet. We don't know anything about you. We give you full privacy, full autonomy. Your coins are yours. We think about security every day. We try to do our best, and we're here for you. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We have great support. We love our customers a lot, and we try to do our best every day for you guys. So thanks for using our wallet, and thanks for tuning in. Your keys, your coins.